What's good, people? BCHQ, Head Ice versus King Los, RBE, shout out RBE. Let's get into it. First round, King. These max 8 people like a PlayStation party chat. And then he was going at Daylight more than Head Ice. I think he was meant to battle Daylight on this card or something, and it just didn't happen. And he had a nice scheme in there about... he had just nice schemes in general, but I felt like he wasn't direct enough at Head Ice in the first round. He was proving like his skills and his tools in terms of rapping and schemes and like intricate shit, but it wasn't like personal enough for me. So that PlayStation party chat was the only line that stood out in that round for me for King Los. Head Ice first. I'm looking to fuck her and I ain't ever guessed my third eye once. These type of blood clots ain't Jamaicans beefing over reefer. No cars used in my drive-bys, just different sneakers. You're looking for street clout, but wear jeans with the knees out. He fucked up the end of the round, but I felt like he didn't close the round. He just was like in the middle of a bar. I think he kind of like forgot the bar, but like he did enough in the first anyway, I thought, despite the fuck up at the end. I'll give the first round to Head Ice. Second, King Los. He done a lot better in the second round. Like, from the first round I was thinking, like, yeah, you got skills, but you're going to have to bring something else, like angles, schemes, but more direct at Head Ice himself. And he did a lot better in the second. I was surprised. So here we go. The only way this mortal can combat me having an upper hand on these punches is me knocking his ass floor to floor. Mortal Kombat scheme. Nice Mayweather scheme that I didn't write down the bar for, but got a good reaction. He had a nice angle about how Ice uses his platform as a battler to encourage ignorance and not as a way out of the struggle. I thought that was quite a unique angle, because not a lot of people touch on that sort of shit, because a lot of people are just for the gangster image and shit. So I thought that was a clever way a clever angle to use. For the last 20 years you've been rapping like you just came home. Like, that got a lot of laughs in the crowd. And then he went at Ice for living conditions. Like, he's saying that he's been stuck in a halfway house with his baby mama since he got out of prison and shit, and like, no wonder he's miserable and shit. Called him a broke-ass Kevin Garnett. That's the bullshit perception. Could have gone to the NBA, but pretend to be a Minnesota Wolves can respect him. Like, that was a hard bar. That got one of the best reactions of the night. I got a gun so big it only exists in battle rap. Like, that was fire, because the majority of battle rappers use that line. Like, I got a gun so big. For him to flip that like he did, like, it was definitely funny and well timed, and got a good reaction. He had an interesting angle on how he brought Puff to Some Madness too, and since then, like, it gave every battler more star power and more opportunities. So I thought that was a clever angle as well. So that's what I had for King Los second. Head Ice, clowning on King. Calling him a prostitute. You're a girl in a boy's body. When I trap, I've got girl or boy by me. String him along until I make him puppet master. Like, that was fire. I was gonna get brains from your bitch, but she keep moving stupid. Shot moved the crowd, but it rocked him. If we got the drop and you see us come in and run, we just gonna murder the people that you was walking with. Like, just straight up disrespect. Most signed artists die by, because he was saying like, he can floss and talk about like chains, jewelry and cars, but then he says most signed artists die by side of cars or die in them. And then he said that there's a sex tape out there of King Los going around. And then I've also got, he had another, just a bar that he threw in there that didn't really like relate to anything in particular, but it was just fire. Demons rock on you building, gargoyle, like that was fire. Like, gargoyles, stone, like statues that are on a lot of buildings, more like old time buildings. You'll go around, especially in like Europe and stuff, like, do your research on that one. So that was fire. So the first I gave to Head Ice. Second, I would give to King Los. So let's go into the third. I got a lot for King Los. Ice was wearing a Lacoste t-shirt. And in the second, Ice was saying that King Los was kind of like fruity and gay and, do you know what I mean, like homosexual. So he rebutted that with a freestyle. It said, all them jokes about me being gay, the reason that style cost you, because he had a gator on his t-shirt, and Lacoste, and like that was a fire rebuttal. He had to explain the bar to Jazz, because she was going, I don't get it. Like, she talks too much during battles. Like, I know she's like a big part of the women's side of the history and the culture, but shut up, like, you're talking too much at times. I walk in rooms, the cameras pan, you're Mrs. Dash. That makes me the main course of interest. That instantly makes him a motherfucking side. And then he said the N-word. That was a nice bar, because, like, when the camera pans, you're at the side. Like, he's the side man then. Like, that was fire. When I elevated my consciousness on some knowledge shit, well, then I couldn't tame my tendencies to invoke structure in everybody around me, and that's how my friends became my enemies. Like, just barring mental, man. Like, just intricate, and like the rappers that watch this will appreciate this more than battle rappers, I think, because it's very lyrical and the structure of it is very well done. Oh, you didn't know his album, and then he says, because he ends that bar with friends became enemies, and then he says, oh, you didn't know Ice's album was titled My Friends Became My Enemies. That was then he had a nice scheme about Harlem and Paid in Full. So he said, you ain't really got the juice in Harlem, because you got there mixing with them nutcrackers, because without smack you just ace at the cleaners. For everyone that's seen Paid in Full, you understand that bar. Crazy bar. That probably got, that and the Minnesota Timberwolves bar got like reaction in the room. And then he did a long-ass bar about battle rappers being slaves to the culture and like smack. And that also that was probably, out of all of the reactions, actually, that probably got the most. I didn't write it down because it's a long-ass bar, but definitely check it out. And then he said, they tried to take daylight, give me a chemtrail, and I think I wouldn't notice the skies. Chemtrail, disguise, the skies, like double meaning, crazy bar. So straight out the door, just snow, watch your step, because we'll slide outside like Meek at his mama's house. Like, if you know about that, then you gotta be in hip-hop culture to fucking know what he's talking about there. But Meek Mill fell out on the steps outside his mum's house when it was snowing. It was on World Star Hip Hop, like, got a lot of views, and obviously celebrity lifestyle, like, they're gonna get views, but it's definitely funny when it got released. So yeah, I had a lot for King Los in the third. Very impressed. Head Ice's third. He was rapping nice, but it just felt a bit like too generic around. It needed to be more haymakers, I felt, and more direct. I've got a few lines here. Leaning on the wall with big L on it, with the Mac and the Stendo looking like who else want it. You're gonna get the top 5, dead or alive, Jadakiss. And that's all I got for Head Ice's third. Like I said, he had some nice bars in there, but it wasn't hard hitting enough for me. It wasn't too direct, and it was just too generic for me. Nice rapping though, like, it would still beat some other rappers' rounds, but battle rappers' rounds, but against what King Los was doing, it just wasn't technical and in-depth enough. So I was disappointed with Head Ice's third, to be honest. I'll give it 2-1 to King Los. It was the first time watching King Los in a battle. I've seen a freestyle of his before on Sway. I was impressed with that, and I know that he's an industry dude, and I know that he used to battle. I might have to go back and check some of his old battles out, but I was definitely impressed by him, watching him for the first time in a battle. And I don't see many people beating Head Ice when I watch Head Ice battles, so fair play to the dude. Definitely a good battle and worth checking out. Shout out to RBE. They're slowly, like, I feel like they're closing in on URL at times, depending on what URL bring. I think RBE are going under the radar very nicely, and they've only got a bright future. So shout out RBE. Battle rap's looking like it's taken a bit of a revival lately. Like last year or so, I did a video saying that battle rap was dead, and I'll put my hands up and say that I was wrong, because the last year or so has been taken. There's been some big battles, and the culture, like there's some new young cats coming through that are very skillful and got potential to be veterans in the years to come. So it's definitely interesting to watch, and I'm just glad that it's at a place it's at now, because for a while it was kind of dead, and the interest and the views it was kind of like a bit cautious, and like it was dying down a bit in my opinion. But I hold my hands up, I was wrong, and it's kind of pulling me back in and captivating me like it did when I first watched it. So let's keep these big battles coming, and I'll see you next time. I don't want to fuck with the real ones.